this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments that matter, for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. Built for the busy days that turn into all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken.
Yeah, the times you're deep in your flow and the absolute last thing you need is an auto update throwing off your momentum. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to the way you actually work. Built with a long-lasting battery so you're not scrambling for the closest outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it.
That's right. They don't build tech just for tech's sake. They build it for you. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Jacques Clark, and there's Charles Briand, and there's Jerry Roland out there, and this is Stuff You Should Know. That's right. The Eiffel Tower edition, at long last.
Yeah, you've been there, right?
Yes, I love the Eiffel Tower. It's neat.
It's great. I don't care what anyone says about tourist traps. It can be a little disheartening there at the bottom when they're selling glow noodles and dumb tchotchkes and stuff like that. But block all that out, and the Eiffel Tower is an amazing, amazing thing to behold.
It is amazing. It's also, Chuck, I don't know if you know this or not, but it is where I developed my fear of heights.
Oh, really?
It happened on the Eiffel Tower. I was never, ever, ever, for a moment in my life, afraid of heights until I went up the Eiffel Tower, and it took me like an hour to get down because I was so afraid of falling off, even though it's impossible to fall off because like there's fencing everywhere. Like you can't fall off. But I mean, I must have looked like the biggest psycho trying to come down the steps of this thing. And it happened. I was like 17. I was with my dad and sister. And
you didn't take the elevator?
No, we walked up the first floor and we got to the top and I looked down and it was just like lights out.
Oh, that's just from the first floor you were crazy.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've never been higher than that. But I've had a fear of heights ever since then.
Well, I think these days, was your dad like, be a man?
No, he was never like that.
I'm just kidding.
No, he just quietly judged me.
Yeah, exactly. The first two floors, I think, are the only ones you can still walk up by staircase, but previously you could walk all the way to the tippy top. In fact, you had to.
1,710 steps. Yeah, the first couple of weeks the Eiffel Tower was open. If you wanted to go to the top, you had to walk up, and that took an hour for people just to make it all the way up.
Climbing stairs for an hour?
No, I would lose my mind because I'd be up so high I would just start crying.
No, I mean I would have had heart failure probably halfway up, so neither one of us would have made it.
It would have, it'd be a lot for sure. And apparently we'll talk about that later. There's a little teaser for you. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about.
So when you come upon the Eiffel Tower, the first thing you're going to walk upon is what's known as the Esplanade, which is that whole big ground level part of the Eiffel Tower with those four massive, massive iron pillars at cardinal north, south, east, and west. Yes.
It's pretty hard to miss them. And they cover something like 4 acres of footprint between them. I think they're like 15,000 square feet or something like that, more than that. And like you said, they're all oriented to the cardinal directions. And if you follow upwards, it's very tough not to look up when you're at the Eiffel Tower.
I dare you to not look up.
You have to be a real jerk, like Costanza level jerk to go to the Eiffel Tower and not look up.
Yeah.
But you would see that each of these 4 pillars go up, 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 and they come together a little further up, a little above the second platform. And they go all the way up in a single joined tower from that moment on. And it's really kind of neat if you stop and think about what you're looking at. These four posts is kind of starting separately and then coming together to form this tower. But it's also just a marvel of engineering. Like I had always heard that was like an engineering masterpiece or whatever, but until I started researching it, I had no idea exactly what that meant. But it is a masterpiece of engineering for sure.
Yeah, and it's a lovely scene aside from all the trappings of tourism. There's a lot of green space around it. There are other monuments. It's right there by the river. It's just a really kind of a lovely scene. Like if you can manage to find some off hours to go where it's not quite so crowded, which I have done, you really get a different sort of experience. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. It's one of the biggest tourist attractions in the world. Yeah. So it's like, you can't go stand on the popular edge of the Grand Canyon without being surrounded by hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. So don't expect to. Just sort of keep that in the back of your head.
Sure. I mean, it's the it's the most visited paid tourist attraction in the world.
I didn't know that. I believe it.
Something like 300 million people have been there, but that's just counting the paying customers. That's not including the cheapskates like me and Yumi and my brother and sister-in-law and niece who went and visited and then didn't pay to go up. Most recently, we just walked around it and kept walking.
I've never been up.
Oh, you haven't? You just walked
man.
around? Okay.
I've been to that thing like 3 times. Never even had the urge to stand in those lines and go to the top.
I'll tell you what, Chuck, you just go onto YouTube and people have filmed it for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to leave your house.
And I saw the crowds on those elevators and at the top, and I was like, I don't need this. I don't like it. I'd rather just walk around and drink some wine and look at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really impressive just walking around the bases of the whole thing. Like, you definitely get a feel for it. And, yeah, if you're afraid of heights, that's all you need to do. So talking about this thing, there's actually 3 levels that you can get to. There's that first level where I lost my mind. Then it goes further up to a second level, and then there's a third level. And the third level is like almost 900 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It's about 300 meters. It's a little less than 300 meters, that third platform. And at each of these platforms, there's like stuff to do. It's not just like a steel platform that you step onto and look out and that's it. There's restaurants, there's shops on that top platform where so many people, apparently like 2 people a day propose. There's like a champagne bar. There's just a lot of really neat little interesting details that make the Eiffel Tower the Eiffel Tower. But even more than that, even more than just the glow noodles that you can only get there at the Eiffel Tower. What makes it so unique is the design of it, the execution of it, the fact that it's still around. And then also some of the things that have happened. Like it's an iconic structure. And when that many people flock to it every year for more than a century, it's going to have like a pretty rich history too. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about the restaurants. If you want to eat at the nicest restaurant, it'll be the Jules Verne. And I was just kind of curious about their menu. It looks very good, but
it looks so good.
It is pricey. It is your 7-course dinner tasting menu is going to run you about $275 each.
Bucks or euros?
Dollars, buckaroos.
Okay.
And that's without. It's 230 euros, I think, and that's without wine or anything like. I think it's without wine. It didn't say anything about with a pairing, but it only goes up from there. So I imagine it's quite a dining experience. Maybe one day I'll save up my bucks and make a reservation, because if you do have a reservation, you can kind of skip most of the line and go straight there, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, you can just take an elevator straight to the Jules Verne restaurant. I'm sad because I'll probably never eat there because I'll be too scared to go up.
Yeah, who cares? You can go to another great restaurant and just pretend you're 300 feet off the ground.
Yeah, but that's the point. I don't want to
pretend like your feet are firmly planted on the ground. And another cool thing that they have is, and this is something that I didn't know because I'd never been up there, is Gustav Eiffel built himself an apartment up top.
Yeah.
And this thing has not really been touched since then. I mean, they've kept it in order, but I think Ed said they had recreated it, but apparently that's the real thing that is just sort of left untouched. It's got a living room with a table, a couch, a piano, a grand piano, a few desks, kitchen, bathroom. There is no bedroom, and by all accounts, he probably did not sleep there. But back in the day in Paris, it became quite the talk of the town and just made rich Parisians just seethe with jealousy. And he was offered huge sums of money from people just to like Airbnb it for a night, and he declined every single time. He never allowed anyone to rent it out and spend the night.
Well, you know, one of the things that I keep running up against during research of the Eiffel Tower is that it was a democratizing structure, because up to the point when the Eiffel Tower opened to the public, if you wanted a really amazing view of Paris, you basically had to rent a hot air balloon ride. That was your one shot at it, and you had to be very, very rich to do that, to go up in a balloon. And so, I mean, that's just the way it was until Gustave Eiffel and then the leaders of Paris and France came along and said, well, let's build this 300-meter tower and open it to the public. I mean, yeah, you had to pay, but it was a reasonable price, and just about everybody could afford it. And now you could walk up and see these amazing views of Paris that to that point had been reserved only for the very wealthy, which, again, I just keep seeing it referred to as a democratizing structure.
All right, so let's talk about the man himself, right?
Yeah, Gustave Eiffel, who is widely credited as the guy who created this structure, but it was definitely a collaboration, and he never seemed to make any secret of that, but he was definitely the head cheese on the whole thing, but he didn't create this whole thing by himself.
I think you mean the head brie.
Oh, very nice. So, I meant head cheese.
Oh, gross. So I can never get over that word.
It's terrible.
He was born in 1832 and was an engineer by trade. Went to engineering school at
Caltech?
No, I thought you were going to do the
French. You want me to say it? Okay. He went to the École Centrale des Arts et Manufactures.
That's right. And he was well regarded as an engineer all over France and Europe. Had a consultancy firm, had his own workshop, had his own construction company. And it should be noted that he was an engineer first and foremost. He was not an architect. He was obsessed with function and mechanics and strength of any structure he built, because he built things like railroad bridges where you really needed it to be strong and maybe pretty second. He did like things to look nice. It's not like that's all he cared about, but he was very big into structure and form and function, and was also a big believer in iron as opposed to steel, which, this thing could have been all steel. Steel was around, could have used steel. But for something this big, he was like, iron is what it has to be built out of.
Well, that's what he was like, that was his trade. Like, he knew iron, and had he moved into steel, he would have been out of his depth. This was not a project where one should be out of their depth, right? But then also steel would have been prohibitively expensive. It was still a pretty new technology. So I saw that was another reason he didn't use steel. But so is iron, and it's a specific kind of iron. It's puddled wrought iron, to where during the smelting process you actually swirl it, which keeps the impurities from crystallizing into the structure of the iron. So it's actual raw iron. That's what the Eiffel Tower is made out of. But if you put those two things together, that he's an engineer, not an artist, and his expertise is in iron, all of it kind of culminates into the Eiffel Tower. It's like, it makes total sense what you're looking at. Like, it couldn't have been anything else. But it also kind of underscores just how much of a masterpiece it is under those two constraints.
Yeah, and another little fun fact is when the person that was charged with building the internal structure of the Statue of Liberty died, he came in as an emergency replacement, and he took on that project, and he built that internal lattice work of the great Statue of Liberty. And he also financed the Eiffel Tower largely. The Paris and France said, hey, let's have this contest because we have a World's Fair coming up in 1899 and we want a big, big tower.
89.
What'd I say?
99?
Yeah, 1889. And he got 1.5 million francs from the state as seed money, but it was going to cost about 6.5 million.
Right.
And this became one of the first sort of what we look at now is how you finance projects like this. One of the first ones to do it like this.
A public-private partnership?
Well, yeah. I mean, he went out and issued shares.
Right.
He started an LLC, issued 2 kinds of shares, and raised the other 5 million francs to build this thing. And as a result, had 20 years to recoup money from ticket sales and souvenirs and champagne bottles and stuff like that, in which he would pay this stuff back. And in that time, he and his shareholders made a lot of money in the process.
Yeah, but what I saw was he was such a good businessman that he managed to get all the proceeds from admission and concessions and all that stuff for 20 years from the exposition founders. But then he also, with the people he went and raised the money from, they didn't get a huge cut of that either. So he made out like a total bandit in this deal. He didn't screw anybody over or swindle anybody. It was just a really good deal that he made for himself. But it required a lot of vision too. Like he put his own tuchus and his own reputation on the line with this one big project.
Yeah, it may have been the kind of thing where they made a certain amount of money back that was capped. I don't really know because his shareholders made a lot of money too. Like if you invested in the Eiffel Tower, you didn't do it out of the goodness of your heart. You made some dough.
Sure. But I think there was a lot of a certain amount of municipal pride in that project, especially with the proponents of the project. And the whole design contest to create an iconic structure for the 1889 World's Fair in Paris. Apparently, it was at first kind of vague, and I even saw that it was Eiffel himself who suggested that they have this design competition. And if that isn't the case, he at the very least kind of guided the details of what they were looking for until it basically was his tower. The other big competitor was a guy named Jules Bourdet, and he wanted to make his 300-meter tower out of stone, which was total insanity. Yeah, would have killed everybody. It would have crumbled immediately. I don't know if they ever would have even been able to successfully finish it. And apparently, there's a big push and pull and tension between Eiffel's iron and Bourdet's stone in this kind of transition between modern and traditional, and modern in the form of Eiffel's Tower won out.
That's right. I think we should take a break.
Okay.
And talk about what happened there in the lead up to 1889 right after this.
Hey, everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's U.S.-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
All right. So you mentioned that it was a collaboration, and not just in the building of it, obviously, which I think range from 150 to 300 people at any given time.
Right. Little known fact, Eiffel did not build it himself single-handed.
He did not. It was designed by other people, too. The initial design was by Emile Noguier.
Nice.
And Maurice Coquelin.
Very nice.
And, apparently this first design wasn't, just like with anything else, it's not like they drew it up on paper and that was it.
Right.
It wasn't that great. It was 4 iron pillars that met near the top, like we're sort of familiar with, and it was connected by grids, but it wasn't that hot. They went back to the drawing board, sent it to an architect named Stephen Silvestre.
I was going to say earlier, you don't need me at all, but yeah, you do.
Sylvester?
Sure.
Is that how you'd say it?
Sure.
All right. That inspires a lot of confidence. And he made it really frilly, added a lot of Victorian flourishes. They got it back from him and said, why don't we meet in the middle, get rid of a lot of this stuff, keep some of the stuff. And what they ended up with was sort of a magical little compromise on the final design.
Yeah, it was, like I said, a real collaboration. And what came out of that collaboration was just something really amazing. And the fact that each group or each person or, everyone involved, they all worked for Eiffel. The first 2 were his chief engineers, and we're just going to call him Sylvester, was his chief architect, I believe. And then along with Eiffel himself, all of them kind of adding to and subtracting and like, I don't like that, or I do like this. It came to fruition. And Eiffel purchased the designs from his employees so that he personally owned the design outright, which allowed him to go raise money himself and take in all of the admission and concession fees that he was going to rake in over the next 20 years too.
Yeah, man, I wonder, I don't know, I looked up the brand worth, and the only thing I could find was from like 7 years ago. In 2013, the Eiffel brand at that time was worth like $430 billion.
Euros. I saw that too.
Oh, I thought that was in dollars. Was that in euros?
I'm pretty sure it was in euros, yeah.
But that is just a crazy amount of money, and it's a shame that he couldn't work out some sort of a stake in that early on that could have been passed down to his heirs.
Yeah, because he was able to rake that in for just the first 20 years. And the reason why 20 years is such a significant number, Chuck, I did not know this, but the original part of that design competition was that this structure, the winning structure, was going to only stand for 20 years, and then it would be disassembled to make way for something new. And that was really in the tradition of World's Fairs. It's very rare for any structures to remain for very long, more than a couple decades after a World's Fair, because
they look dated.
They're meant to be temporary. They're meant to be part of the World's Fair and to commemorate the World's Fair. But then you have more World's Fairs that come along, and progress is to be made. And so the old structures get torn down and new ones get built in their place. So the Eiffel Tower was going to just live for 20 years and then be disassembled.
Yeah, I bet you that does have something to do with it, because if you look at most World's Fair structures over the years, they do end up looking very dated. Like, this is the only one I can think of that really had this indelible, iconic design.
Right.
And they probably just don't want that reminder of, the Knoxville World's Fair.
Right.
25 years later, it looks really kind of silly.
Right. Well, the Sun Sphere is still around, weirdly.
Is it?
Yes, as far as I know. Yeah.
Wasn't it Knoxville?
Yeah, it was Knoxville with the Sun Sphere. I'm almost positive. But there was another building built. I mean, like if you look at some of the buildings that were built for this Paris exposition in 1889, these are like major, huge buildings that today we would spend untold countless money to preserve and keep from crumbling.
Yeah.
They just tore them down after 20 years. There's one called the Galerie des Machines. And some critics say that it was actually an even greater masterpiece of ironwork and modernity than the Eiffel Tower itself. They tore it down in 1910.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just kind of how it was with the World Fair, and that's how it was supposed to be with the Eiffel Tower. But if you start to dive into how the Eiffel Tower was constructed, it's abundantly clear that Gustave Eiffel never intended for his tower to be taken down.
It was
he
built
built
to
that
last.
thing Ford tough. Man, if you want to make a French person's head spin, tell them that the Eiffel Tower is built Ford tough. Oh, my God.
Oh, I was trying to think of a French car. What's that one?
The Renault.
Yeah, Renault tough.
Le Car tough.
So they start construction in January of 1887. Obviously, that's a pretty tight timetable to pull something like this off before the World's Fair. And it came down to the wire. But they started building the tower itself in July 1887. They were building, that might not make sense, but they were doing those foundations. It took a long time just to get the foundation work done. Yeah. And he had a manufacturing warehouse and facility about 6 kilometers away. So most of it was built there in pieces. They would bring it over and ship it over to the site to kind of assemble it and put it together. And, this thing is right by the river. So you've got, you don't have the most stable, land base in which to drill down. And they ended up did we do a show on tunnels, or was it just –
I think it must have been bridges or something, because I think we talked about the Brooklyn Bridge being built like this.
Yeah, may have been it, or maybe it was the New York aqueducts. I don't know. But basically they had to do sort of the same thing, as they had to go under sea level. So they had to work in these compressed air chambers, which was very, very dangerous. And they ended up only losing one human life during the construction, which is remarkable.
It is remarkable. And this thing was also completed in record time, too. You said it was a tight schedule. To build this thing in 26 months today would be impressive. Sure. And they did this in, the 1880s and only lost one worker. Part of that was because Gustave Eiffel himself was well known for basically being an additional foreman on the job site.
Oh, yeah.
He was not one of these guys who went and smoked cigars and just hung out all day at the country club with his buddies. He was hands-on on his most important projects. And the Eiffel Tower was definitely one of those most important projects. So because of this dedication to safety and this level of oversight from the guy himself, that just one person, the person didn't even have to die. They're like, no one will believe it if nobody died. So they pushed one guy off the top. Hey, Pierre, what's that over there? I don't know. Will you bend down and bend down and pick it up for me? Poor Pierre. So the other thing he had going in his favor was, as far as getting it built in record time, was he had a great crew. He had, like I said, he was a big builder anyway. So he had all these regular workers that were really, really experienced, especially iron workers. And he was able to pull it off using a method of riveting. Bolts, pretty good. Rivets, better. Way better. I mean, this is these rivets are the reason why I say he did not mean for this thing to be taken apart in 20 years. So what they did was they used heated rivets. And here's how that works. You bring over this subpiece that's built together with temporary bolts. And then you remove those bolts and you replace it with a heated rivet. And this is on site. They had blacksmiths hammering this thing on site. Apparently it made quite a racket. And you would heat it in, or you would heat it up and knock it in. And then as this thing cools, it shrinks. And that just cinches everything really, really tight that it's trying to cinch together after it's cooled. And so you've got, 2/3 of this thing, 2/3 of these rivets were actually installed on site with human power and hammers. Yeah, and each side of the rivet was hammered into a head, so it's not like a bolt where you could just take off. I don't know how you would get those things apart, frankly. And the seal, like you said, was I guess. Then the seal was so tight because it cooled and cinched them tighter together. And then the actual one of the reasons why the Eiffel Tower is just so revered. It's just incredibly precise. Like each piece, like you said, was made off site and then maybe partially assembled and brought to the job site. But they were created in the 1880s within a tenth of a millimeter precise. And if they weren't a tenth of a millimeter precise, they were sent back to the factory to be altered so that they were brought into that level of precision. So the entire Eiffel Tower is within a tenth of a millimeter precision, the entire thing. That's just astounding to me.
Yeah, and it's really cool too in that they, you obviously you're building this thing from the ground up, and they use scaffolding until they made that first floor plateau, and then from that point on, that was their new foundation. So they could actually be up there, and the tower itself supported itself from that point forward as they moved up.
Right, and this is just so scary to me, but the as they worked further and further up, they got steam cranes that they attached to what would eventually be the rails used by the lifts, the very specific elevators at the Eiffel Tower. And these steam cranes just climbed up and up and up and just worked their way up the tower. And it just again,
take a ride, Josh.
This is the 1880s, and you're in a steam crane attached to the Eiffel Tower that you're building hundreds of meters up. I can barely even say these words.
You would have been the second guy that died.
Yeah,
because your knees gave out.
Exactly. I can't even deal right now.
So they eventually finish as the World's Fair approaches. It didn't even open. This is how tight it was. It wasn't even open to the public until 9 days into the fair.
Yeah.
And it took 2 more weeks for those elevators to be operational. So if you were those first people, you paid a little bit of money to climb 1,710 steps to the top. Like you mentioned earlier, it takes about an hour. And a lot of people still did that, remarkably, and they all smoked cigarettes at the time. So I can't imagine that was fun.
That's right. So one of the things about the Eiffel Tower that I didn't know about was that there was a tremendous amount of protest when it was announced, when the design was unveiled or the plans for it were unveiled. Mostly by the French artistic community. There was a famous petition, again, which I didn't know about, called the petition of the 300 artists, 300 architects, 300 musicians, basically anybody who is anyone in the Parisian art and cultural scene at the time signed this petition basically saying, like, don't build this thing. This is horrible. It's going to look like an industrial iron smokestack, and we don't want this to mar the beautiful landscape of Paris that has been put together over the centuries. And I mean, it was a substantial public outcry and like kind of a campaign against the Eiffel Tower that Eiffel and the Parisian Exposition planners had to deal with. But they I guess ultimately the artists were their protests fell on deaf ears because the tower was made. But one of the great things about it was in the years after, some of those petition signers came out and publicly apologized to Eiffel. They said that they'd gotten it wrong, that the Eiffel Tower is just that beautiful. They finally kind of came around to understanding what was beautiful about it.
Did Guy de Maupassant recant?
No. He was one who never did. De Maupassant, he was a very famous writer who would lunch at the base of the Eiffel Tower very frequently because it was the only place in Paris he could go eat where he didn't have to look at the Eiffel Tower. Yeah,
so he wrote, and this became one of the sort of the most famous put down of the Eiffel Tower. He said, "This high and skinny pyramid of iron ladders, this giant ungainly skeleton upon a base that looks built to carry a colossal monument of Cyclops, but which just peters out into a ridiculous thin shape like a factory chimney. P.S. I fart in its general direction."
Nice. I didn't see that coming. And he was, you might not recognize his name, but I'll bet you'd recognize his pen name, Jackie Collins.
Oh, interesting.
I'm just kidding.
I know that.
That's because I made it up.
So Eiffel himself, the man, I'm sure his feelings were a little bit hurt by some of these artists. He wanted to be beloved, but
he wasn't made of puddle iron.
He was not. He said, and I'll just sort of paraphrase here. He said, "For my part, I believe that the tower will possess its own beauty. I hold that the curvature of the monument's four outer edges, which is as mathematical calculation dictated it should be, will give a great impression of strength and beauty, for it will reveal to the eyes of the observer the boldness of the design as a whole. And moreover, there is an attraction in the colossal, and a singular delight to which ordinary theories of art are scarcely applicable." And I think that kind of sums it up. It's like, man, this is a massive, amazing, gorgeous feat of engineering. And like, you can't think of it with your little sculpture brain and try and look at it as that kind of art. Like, you got to rethink what art and architecture are. And I think he's totally right. I mean, it's amazing when you look at this thing, and you can sort of see maybe back then how it didn't fit the landscape, and people might have thought it was obnoxious, but they were wrong.
Yeah, it's. I saw I guess a architecture blog on the Eiffel Tower, and it had it broken down by like loads and stresses and geometry and all that. But on one of the pages, it was showing a graph of how wind pressure increases with height, right? And when they traced the curve of the different wind pressures as it went up, it made the curve of the Eiffel Tower. And he said later that the Eiffel Tower was designed by the wind. And that's what he was talking about. Like, they used math to determine what the perfect shape of this was to put up this to have the same wind pressure. So the base is under the same load from wind that the top is because of the taper. So it was like, it's math personified. It's math and science and engineering in iron form. I had no idea about that until I started researching this, and it just
really
made
cool.
me appreciate this so much more. And it's also really, really strong too. Like, the thing can hold 4.5 times its own weight. It's never going to fall down. And a lot of people were worried about that when Eiffel was building it. And he publicly said, "I take personal responsibility if this thing ever collapses." He just knew it wasn't going to, because that's how precise he was. And that's how smart he was with his calculations and the people he was working with too. But it's masterful. It's nature revealed, just carved out of the sky in iron.
All right, well, let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about why that thing is still standing today and wasn't torn down 20 years later, right after this.
Hey, everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's U.S.-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans, because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well-designed, and they can be well-designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality, and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary, it's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
All right. So Eiffel built this thing to last, like we said. And during that 20-year period, as he was raking in money from glow noodle sales, he decides to start trying to make it useful and give it a practical purpose. So maybe they'll say, well, we kind of got to leave it up now. Right. So he started doing all these wind resistance experiments, and those were fine. Those were all well and good, but it was radio that really is what saved it. When in 1898, a Morse code signal was sent from the tower to another part of Paris, and it was a big success. So they put in a permanent radio installation there, and all of a sudden they were like, hey, this thing is really valuable, especially with wars approaching, which they obviously didn't know that at the time, but they were sending messages, overseas to London and thousands of kilometers away. And they said in 1910, all right, this is actually pretty valuable to us now. The military is involved. It's playing roles in our wars. So you can keep it up for 70 more years. And they then tore it down in 1980.
Yep, and that was the end of the Eiffel Tower.
I'll never forget that day. It was 9
crazy.
years old.
Yeah. Do you remember how excited Reagan was? Like,
I
weirdly
know.
excited.
It was
like,
very
what do you have
strange.
against the Eiffel Tower, man?
And Jimmy Carter just cried quietly. It was very sad.
Yeah. I thought that was the right reaction to that, But that's the big split, There's two kinds of people in the world.
No, they gave him 70 more years, and obviously in 1980, I didn't even look it up, but I assume that's when they said, maybe we should just all agree that it'll probably be here forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So it survived even Adolf Hitler, the big jerk. He apparently, after the Nazis had occupied Paris for years, as the war was seemingly coming to an end, he ordered not just the Eiffel Tower, but all monuments in Paris to be torn down. And the guy who was running France on behalf of the Nazis, General Dietrich von Scholitz, just never got around to it. I guess he was kind of resisting. But speaking of resisting, one of the little pieces of World War II history was that the French resistance cut the cables for the elevators to the Eiffel Tower so that if any Nazi sightseers on his day off wanted to go up and see the sights, he had to climb the 1,710 stairs. He wasn't going to take an elevator as long as the French resistance was around.
That's right. And then the Nazis were liberated from Paris unless you talked to Senator-elect Tommy Tuberville. Did you hear all that?
Yeah, I heard all that.
Former Auburn football coach, now Senator-elect, has said a few times now that Paris was liberated from the communists and the socialists.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they were Nazis.
Yeah. There's one other piece of World War II trivia I had not heard about with the Eiffel Tower. There was a dogfight that went under the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, that's the thing that planes want to try and do now as a sort of a dare/stunt.
You should not do that.
No.
I think it's worth saying again, Chuck, you don't fly a plane under the Eiffel Tower. I don't care who you are.
Don't fly a plane, period.
If you're a German fighter ace and you've got an American P-51 Mustang on your tail, you're going to take some risks.
Sure.
And, apparently the dirty Nazi flying ace thought he was going to shake him by going under the Eiffel Tower, and that P-51 Mustang pilot went right after him and shot him down over Paris.
Amazing.
Isn't it? I mean, they had a dogfight under the Eiffel Tower. That's astounding.
Because this thing is made of iron, there's one big key to keeping this thing durable, and that is paint. Mm-hmm. It is strong. Iron is very strong. It's also malleable. I think we've already mentioned that it does flex in the wind some. It shrinks with temperature changes and gets larger with temperature changes. And that's all well and good, but you got to have a really good paint job on there. And I think it's been painted 18 times over the years, and they're on a 7-year cycle now, which they started in 1899. And it takes about 18 months to remove what paint they remove. And it's been various colors over the years. Eiffel Tower brown is what we call it now, but Ed, who helped us put this together with zero irony, I think, said it is often depicted as simply red.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
I think Ed probably doesn't even know that's a band. I think his tastes are a little harder than that, right?
I don't know. I think he's got a bunch of varied tastes. I could see him knowing about Simply Red. I don't know. Maybe he did mean that.
It's also been yellow-orange, sort of a yellowish brown. And like I said, now they call it, since 1968, Eiffel Tower brown. But it's lit up at night. It's marvelous to behold. 20,000 light bulbs on this thing.
No. 5 billion light bulbs.
I don't think that's right, dude. I looked everywhere, and the only place I could find that was in Business Insider.
I've seen it a bunch of places, but I guess it got I could see that. Man, you're probably right.
I mean, on the Eiffel Tower website, it says 20,000 lights, so I'm going to go with that.
All right, I'll go with that one too. Stupid 5 billion lights.
That's a big disparity.
Yeah.
But it's all lit up. Like, they have the lights, and then they also have these projectors projecting light. And
5 billion projectors.
It's brilliant to look at night, and I suggest you go at night. It's great during the day, of course, as well, but at night is when it's really, really special.
Right. I looked up their electric bill, and it's apparently about $1.1 million a year, which is
not too bad.
I guess it's more in line for 20,000 lights. I was like, that's pretty low for 5 billion lights.
It's like Al Gore's electric bill.
Wow.
Hey, I try to take shots at both sides, right?
There you go, man. Yeah, for sure. You're a centrist. So that repainting stuff, it takes 18 months. Did you say that?
I did.
And they take 15 tons of the old paint off every time when the whole job is done.
And I think it's like 60 tons of new paint, right?
Yes, that is so much paint. It's crazy. But the last time we were there, like 3 years ago, I remember being shocked that it was brown. I'd totally forgotten it. And anytime you see it, it's shadowed enough that it looks black or maybe like a dark gray or something.
Oh,
it does not look like it does in person in pictures, right? But apparently there's an optical illusion where the higher up in the sky the Eiffel Tower is, that part seems darker than the stuff closer to the ground. So they actually do kind of an ombre thing where they paint it in the same color, but a graded shade to where the stuff at the top is the lightest shade and then toward the bottom it's the darkest shade so that the whole thing has a uniform color to it.
Emily and I always have a running joke that we got from Saturday Night Live. There was one sketch where one girl looked to the other and said, "That is one severe ombre."
Nice.
So we say that now whenever we see a lady with an ombre hairstyle.
Man, when's the last time you saw somebody with an ombre?
I don't know. Is that not a thing anymore? I don't see people.
I don't think so. I haven't seen people either. I guess I'm just assuming it died out because nobody's going to the hairdresser anymore.
We should maybe do a short stuff on the elevators themselves. It is probably a show unto itself, but I guess the easiest way to say it is that these are not like any elevators in the world, obviously, because they go up on a slope and then straighten out. So they're built, obviously, just for the Eiffel Tower, and they would work only there. And they work on a hydraulic system. And here's my fun fact, that is greased every day with beef fat.
No.
Yeah.
From the Jules Verne restaurant?
I don't know.
I had not heard that. That's a great fact, man.
Yeah, and apparently a lot of the machinery is some of the original stuff from 1899 that they have just sort of modernized and retrofitted over the years.
Yeah, I've got one more elevator fact for you. So for the original opening, Otis Elevator was invited to build one of the elevators.
Oh, wow.
And
legendary company.
I think they actually built 3 of the ones that are there now, but this is for the exposition. And to show how great their elevator was, Otis sent some representatives up to switch out the cable with rope. And then once they had the cable that was holding the elevator aloft changed out to rope, they cut it with hatchets to show off how the emergency brake system worked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And they all crossed their fingers behind their backs.
Yeah, exactly. But if you look at some of the original drawings, they were like sit-down elevators with like pews, basically, like you find in a church, like a few rows of pews where people just sit down on these things and go up, up, up.
You know, now that I'm looking at this list from Business Insider, it also says it costs $1.5 million to build. And that's
in $1889. I saw that elsewhere too.
That sounds like confusion to me because they gave them 1.5 million francs.
Yeah.
And it really cost 6.5. I don't trust anything on this list now.
Okay.
5 billion lights.
Is that on the list that I sent you?
Yeah.
That was from Live Science, not Business Insider.
Well, the same exact list was on Business Insider?
Yeah.
That's what we should call them.
So
somebody
Live Science
copy-pasted.
is usually pretty, I'm guessing Business Insider copy-pasted from Live Science. Live Science is usually pretty accurate. That's why I fell for the $5 billion. I was like, why would I fall for that from Business Insider? Now I understand. I fell for it from Live Science.
All right. Well, that's more acceptable.
What else you got? Anything?
I got nothing else. Go see this thing. It's worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is worth traveling to Paris to see and then just turn around and leave. Well, Chuck, this is coming out, I think, on New Year's Eve, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, right.
Should we wish everybody Happy New Year's now or after listener mail?
No, let's do it now. You know?
Okay.
We say it every year that without you guys, we wouldn't even have jobs. So it doesn't change over the years. It just gets better and better. And we really, really value everyone that's listening to this right now in a big, big way.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us, everybody. We hope that we've kind of helped you in some small measure through 2020 because you guys have helped us through 2020.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you guys. So thank you. Okay, well, since I said thank you to all of you listening out there in podcast land, that means it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this Pet Turkey. This is from Steph. Okay. Steph T. Hey guys, Turkey Podcast is my new favorite. We used to have a pair of white domestic turkeys that we kept as pets. They slept in my flower bed every night and looked like yard ornaments. I can attest to their super hearing as the Tom could hear a bag of feed being opened from a mile away. We kept the feed in a trash can, and I had to use the lid as a shield, Captain America style, so he wouldn't hop into the can and take me with him. He was a jerk. The female, however, was actually really, really sweet and docile. My special needs son was just learning to walk at the time, and she would walk beside us ever so slowly and then sit down for him to pet her. I was so heartbroken when she died that I went out in the field and read a Bible verse over her body. She says, "Don't judge me." We would never judge you for that. That's amazing. Yeah. There were also wild turkeys in the area, and I often had to stop the car to let them cross the road. I loved to stick my head out of the window and gobble at them because they would always raise their heads and gobble back. And that is from...
Here's that lady coming again, the gobbler.
Oh, I love it. That's from Steph T.
Thanks, Steph T. Is it really Steph T?
Well, I mean, STEF, hard stop, right. Letter T.
Right, but there was a joke I made in the turkey episode where like somebody was named Tom T, like it was Tom Turkey.
Oh, really?
So maybe this is Steph Turkey. She said she gobbles.
Oh,
maybe.
Goodness.
Well, if you're a turkey and you want to get in touch with us about our turkey episode or for whatever reason, you can send us an email, thestuffpodcast@iheartradio.com. And again, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
The next time you end up with something on your shirt, don't turn to your usual detergent. Check out Tide Evo. Tide Evo represents over 10 years of innovation in product development. It's a revolutionary 100% concentrated waterless laundry tile made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. It's not pods and it's not sheets. It uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging. It's mess-free, lightweight, and dissolves quickly. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids? Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever. We can play games with astronauts, wild animals, and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.